Alright guys, so as the video title suggests, I want to make a breakdown of the entire Endless Space 2 technology tree. Now, um, there are a lot of things to cover here, so it may be one long video, one huge long video, or it may be divided up into different segments, but maybe we may start by doing one quadrant and just see how long it takes, and I'll upload subsequently the other quadrants. But nonetheless, one of the main aspects that may confuse for new players that may be caught up in confusion and just don't know how to interact when they first begin to play the game may precisely be the technological research tree. And in particular, this is, I remember when I started playing that it was just daunting upon me, the fact that there were so many technologies and I didn't know how to reach a certain building or a certain ship or a certain module, how to unlock specific resources, how to search specific curiosities, and so on and so forth. So the main goal of this video wants to be just a huge overview of every single blue circle that you see here. In this game, I'm just one turn away from winning, and I wanted to unlock all technologies just for the fun of it. So that all technologies are unlocked except the ones that require you to choose, but they're actually 4 in total, so we can cover that ones too, and provide new players with a map of sorts to figure stuff out. Now, I'm going to start by the science quadrant. There is no particular reason, just it regards the colonization of planets, so let's get into that sci-fi mode right away. Before we start, let's just say that the entire technology screen and your entire research is developed on 4 main parts, where we have the science and exploration part at the bottom. On the left we have the empire development, at the top we have the military, and at the right we have economy and trade. So, starting from science and exploration. Now, I'm not going to go right to the blue circles, which are the technologies that you research and unlock. There is actually another thing to notice. You have different thresholds to unlock new technologies, and what I mean by that, since they are not visible in this particular screen because I actually already have unlocked them all, you will find during your plays at the beginning that there will be some circles with a lock on them, and this basically means that in order to proceed from science, let's say the science and exploration 1 stage to the science and exploration 2 stage, you are required to unlock at least a certain amount of technologies first. So at the beginning of the game, you will start at tier 1 of every single quadrant, and to unlock the further technologies will be all locked, and to unlock the second stage, you are required to research 1 of 2 of these technologies. When you get to the second stage, you are required to unlock, I think it's at least 3 technologies from the second stage. And when you get to the third, you are to unlock something like 4 or 5 technologies, and so on, until you get to the 5th one, which is the final and last technology stage. This applies for all 4 quadrants, And I just wanted to disclaim it because it's that is the first thing that you must notice, and also because it's not actually visible in this particular screen. But I mean, you can just Google it, or during your playthroughs you will recognize that there are some locks and that you are required to unlock them, to unlock further technology stages by unlocking a specific amount of prior technologies in order to do so. So, putting that on a side, the Science and Exploration 1 technology stage lets you do a certain amount of actions even before we get into the technologies themselves. Now, as you see, there is a description of what this technology stage grants. We get common curiosities, which reveal curiosities related to common luxury resources. And we get some modules, some ship modules, which are the basic colonization one, the string gravitics engine, and the improved probes. So you can also get your mouse to hover above these indicators, and there they are. This is the string gravitics engine, which grants +2 movement points to ships. You have the common curiosities, which reveals curiosities related to common luxuries, which, by the way, let's just jump here to have a reference, are these ones from Red Sang, Judonics, the Deciduous Trees, Blue Cap Mold, Eden Incense, Transvine, Dark Glitter, and Super Spuds. Moving on, we have the basic colonization module, and which allows to colonize effectively planets on star systems, and finally improved probes, which grant you a probe stock of 2 with a cooldown period of 4 turns. This means that if this module is installed on one of your ships, it can carry 2 probes that are used to search curiosities, or be sent out in the void to trace other systems and planets. And in order to gain back a probe that you use, you are to wait 4 turns. And you see that they can only be installed on explorer type ships. That's what that symbol means, and on hero ships. So there you have it. So as soon as you hit stage 1, many factions start off already with one of either 2 technologies unlocked, but many don't. You are, sorry for that, you are entitled to these specific grants. Now, looking into the technologies themselves, starting with xenobiology. One of the reasons I really love this game is because you get to read a little description a little description of the technology that you are going to unlock. Studies of soil samples from other planets when combined with advances in understanding, etc., etc. It really immerses you and gives you also some hints and just descriptions of the lore surrounding the game, which is beautiful. You then get the cost of the technology in order to unlock it. By no means representative of what you will encounter during turn 1 of your games. The 2,909 technology cost is because technologies cost more the more technologies you already unlocked. So this is a basic one. I think it costs something like 200 science at turn 1. I completed the entire tree, so the game is basically imploding and telling me that for this basic technology, it's 2,909. Do not take that into account. Take the fact that there is a cost of science to put in order to unlock technologies, and you may understand how much science per turn you're doing just right here, with also a brief description of from where you're actually gaining your science. The political impact of a certain technology is also something important. Unlocking technologies gets a boost to particular political parties. In this case, we would grant a political impact on the ecologists' political party, and the status, of course, if researched, if it is being researched, or if not yet already studied. And then you get what the technology grants, and just as I was describing here with these particular symbols, and by hovering above the science and exploration stage 1 symbol, you get to see at a glance, both here under the grants description and hovering also on the attached circles to the technology, you get to see what this technology grants you. So this technology grants you the public-private partnerships. This is a fundamental building of early game in order to boost your science. What it basically does, it gives you plus 10 science per fertile, per planet, and per temperate planet. It's an improvement, and you understand this. What the system improvement is basically a building. You build this in your building queue on your star system, and it costs a certain amount of industry. It's the first basic science construction that you are to build. Public-private partnerships as a system improvement, which is distinguished from ship construction. This particular improvement has an upkeep, in this case of 4 dust per turn. Emperor's Will, I won't even mention it. It's the Empire faction trait. What it basically does, it converts some production into influence, and influence by the Empire is used to buy out ships and star system improvements. So let's put that on a side. Not all factions have it, so we'll just get to the upkeep. Aside from that, the xenobiology grants the colonization of tundra planets. It also has a industry cost, and as soon as you unlock this technology, your colonization ships will now be able to colonize tundra type planets. The other stage 1 technology is the rare earth foams. Let's see what it actually grants. You get to install a particular ship module, a support module in particular. Modules, let's just do it for a better understanding, are divided into 4 categories. We have the weapon ship modules, the defense modules, the support modules, and the squadron. Squadron are basically the bombers and fighters that you can install on your carriers in particular, but not exclusively so. So yeah, just as a reference for that, you are able to now install the debris analyzer, which grants science per destroyed command point, 20 in particular. This means that ships have certain command points that describe the command points are the metric that is used by the game to measure the size of fleets. So just for an example, the most The smaller ships are 1 command point, the medium ships are 3 command points, the carriers are 6 command points, and a juggernaut is 10 command points. So just to give you an order, so per command point destroyed, 20 science. And this technology also lets you colonize Mediterranean type planets. Moving on to stage 2, we have another symbol which we didn't talk yet of, and we have a total of 6 technologies, and let's go to them. As soon as you hit stage 2, by the way, you get a basic warp drive, which moves your movement, if installed on a ship, grants you 3 movement points instead of the basic 2, and also a nano repair bot support module, which grants a health bonus on your ship of 50 and a repair ship after battle effect of 5%. So it also repairs your ships, as the name says. Hitting stage 2, let's get into it. First technology that we are looking at is machine bacteria. This time around it boosts a scientific political party, and what this does, it unlocks the following. We have a titanium probe this time, which has a probe stock of 2 but a cooldown of just 1 turn. And you can see in the cost, this time around we also take into account strategic resources, because it's going to cost 40 industry and 1 piece of titanium. And titanium is right here, and it's one of the strategic resources that we'll get to see when we go on the economy and trade quadrant. You are granted the colonization of steppe planets, which are quite good actually. And you are also granted Hyperion probes, this time a vision range of 3, a probe stock of 3, and a cooldown of 2 turns. So you can see the difference right here. So vision range 2, probe stock 2, but a cooldown of 1. And this is 3 probe stock, but 2 turns of a cooldown. Moving on, we have the eukaryotic sap. Very important technology. It grants you an applied happiness program. This is an empire improvement. What empire improvements are? Just passive effects that as soon as you hit that particular technology apply from that moment on. That's a +5 happiness on planets. Very important. Quite a good buff for your empire that maybe is not still, I would guess, at stage 2 of technology overpopulated, but nonetheless happiness grants some interesting bonuses, and the more happiness you have, the better. You are able to colonize snow planets. You are granted an H-Field Fleet Accelerator support module. This time around, what this support module does is increase your fleet movement points by 1. It's different from where was it? Here, from a basic warp drive, because this applies to a single ship, while in this case we're talking about a fleet movement point. And as you can see, it can only be installed on hero ships. Now, I know for a fact that the game used to let players load these particular modules also on ships. It was basically a different game, because ships were super fast. As soon as you unlock this, you would just spam these on design-built ships that would have only this function. And somehow they decided to remove these particular modules from all ships and grant them only to hero ships. I find it an intelligent move. I know the game from when this modification was already applied, so I can't really talk about how it was in the past, but I find it quite correct. And finally, we talk about this time hacking. Hacking is a feature that was introduced in the Penumbra DLC. It is not necessarily a game changer, although it's quite of a cool mechanic. Basically, hacking lets you get into enemy systems by hacking, and you may insert sleepers on your enemy systems that grant you particular bonuses. And the whole hacking operation thing happens on the map by getting on your spacebar and going in this view on the economy map. And basically, bandwidth is the resource that lets you hack other systems. So if I were to hack a system, I would click on here, I would choose a system of mine, and I would send a particular hack to an enemy system, which in this case might be this one. And look at the bandwidth allocated on my empire go down as soon as I confirm. That didn't actually go down. Wow, okay, so I guess I don't understand hacking. Maybe if I decided to protect, maybe impossible, you don't have enough. Oh, yeah, I do get hacking actually. I'm sorry. I already allocated 105 out of 110 bandwidth points on my empire. So I actually do not have any more bandwidth to allocate. Let's see if I can interact maybe with some of these. Are you sure you want to cancel this program? Okay, and there you go. We're now at 90. I want to cancel this also, and there you go, it's 75. If I were to put this back on, it goes up. So this is the bandwidth. It's the resource to use hacking, and this particular technology grants you a new offensive hacking program and gives a plus 30% movement of the hack towards the hacked system of 30%, and it costs 15 bandwidth. So that's enough for the eukaryotic sap. As you can see, in this particular case, we have a different type of geometry to describe the technology. It's actually a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hexagon shaped graphic, and these particular ones are referring to the behemoth theme of the game. Behemoth are super weapons. They can be industrial, scientific, military, and they can be transformed into citadels, obliterators, or juggernauts, depending on the technology that you possess and your game style and your decisions during a playthrough. What this technology grants is three things. You get to unlock a basic behemoth propulsion, so this grants +2 movement points on behemoths. The basic behemoth scanners, so +4 vision range on behemoths, and movement points 2 and a vision range of 8 for behemoths. So you're not actually unlocking the behemoth hull per se. You're not able to construct behemoths yet. We'll see that technology in a moment, but you get to install this particular module. What is this? This is a deed, a challenge. It's a quest that appears for all players in the game as soon as you hit the stage. And basically what the deed does is to put on a certain quest, and if you are the one to win it, it's going to return with particular compensations for it. In this particular case, we were to be the first to explore 50% of the galaxy. Unfortunately, it does not show the outcome because another empire has already achieved this deed. But just imagine certain particular compensations such as resources or new modules or new buildings. It's a very cool way to engage in your playthrough against the AI, just to win particular rewards via this mechanic. So as you can see, the entire tree is filled with these deeds, 3 for each quadrant, and yeah, that is what it is. It is not a technology that you may research. Then we have the baryonic shielding, big one, hacking, piggyback offensive hacking program with a cost of 15 bandwidth that grants a minus 30% bandwidth cost on hacking programs, which is kind of good. Advanced scanners is a big one, sets the curiosity detection level to 3 and sets the curiosity expedition power to 2. So what this means basically is that you are now able to detect level 3 curiosities, which contain more particular curiosities and more advanced luxury resources, and you are now able to search level 2 curiosities and not more level 1 as it was shown, I think, right here. Yeah, this is the basic one, so it's an upgrade from this one. This is also a very important piece of technology, because what this grants is free movement for all ships. And what does free movement mean? Well, it means that now the game is the galaxy is structured by these stars that are linked by these white lines. And let's say that before unlocking the technology, if I were to send a ship from Perseus to Kran, the ship would have necessarily to go like from Perseus to Justium to Kran. And by unlocking baryonic shielding, the ship may now go from Perseus, traveling through the void, to Kran. So it's very important, in depending on the situation, might be a game changer technology to possess in order to reach out places that you cannot reach out before. And you get to colonize savannah planets, so that's also quite an important one. Moving on to PEV scale accelerators, this one grants magnetic field generators, very important. It's the second system improvement, science system improvement that we encounter, yeah, +2 science per population on planets with anomalies on those planets, and a more general +1 science per population on planets. So quite important structure to build if you are to improve your scientific output and your science per turn. And the more anomalies, the more science, because as it's said, as it has this effect of +2 science per planet with anomaly. That is actually a really good buff that they do. You get to colonize arid planets, which is good. And for the first time, these are planetary specializations. So basically what this means is that you can set a certain planet to specialize in a particular thing, in a particular FIDS, actually, FIDSy. By FIDSy, I mean food, industry, dust, science, or influence. And let me just show you right quick as an example. If I were to zoom in on Perseus, as you can see, citizen science. So you, on top of the already existent scientific system improvements and enacted laws that grant you scientific production per turn. You can also toggle citizen science to have additional science. So it's a +2, in this case, science per population on cold, and +2 science per population in general. And you do this by clicking on this symbol and choosing the particular. Now it doesn't show it because I already have it active, but just imagine that it's there, and yeah, depending on the particular FIDSI that you're interested in, there are different planetary specializations for each one of them. So in this case, happens to be the scientific one, since we are on the scientific tree. Where was I? Yes. So that is it for the PEV scale accelerators. Moving on, we have the Behemoth analyzers. So what does this grant? Also a hexagon, so we know we're talking about behemoths. We have a basic node analyzer. So if this particular module is installed on a behemoth and you were to send it on a special node, special nodes are neutron stars, collapsing stars, black holes, asteroid fields, and so on, you would get a +50 dust, +50 science, and +20 influence in order that you would gain by depositing a behemoth on a special node. You are also allowed the Stellar Node Study 1, which lowers technology science cost when orbiting black holes and neutron stars by 2%, lowers technology when orbiting asteroid fields, and so on and so forth, plus 80 science around special nodes. So kind of a big deal if you're going the behemoth way, let's say. That was stage 2. Let me just check real quick how much time. Okay. Moving on to stage 3. As you can see, way more technologies the more we advance on the tier. But not necessarily, but at least in the scientific one, it goes like that. Now, starting from the left, vacuum protection. These are modules. This technology grants you particular modules. Again, we are talking about strategic resources. You can see that from titanium and the previous one, we are now to the adamantium, which is this one. And yeah, adamantium repair bots repairs fleet after battle by 5% and repairs fleet after each phase by 5%. So in the second case, it's during battle that your fleet receives a 5% health recovery, and it is actually during the battle. Battles are divided into different phases. I think it's 3 or 4 phases: the beginning, the central part, and the ending. So yeah, kind of an important piece of equipment, I guess. Squadron shifter grants 100 health and a dodge probability of 10%. And finally, with adamantium, in this case, which is this resource right here, you are to gain a shield reloading of 450 after each phase of the battle. So military oriented, even though it is granted by a scientific technology, and that is kind of a cool way to mix in a logical manner technologies in this game. Moving on, we have the wave function control. We have another super interesting system improvement, scientific system improvement, that grants a +25% science production on happy systems. So systems, of course, let me get into this, have a particular approval rating rather than happiness. As I was saying, it's called approval, and yeah, it can go from 0 to 100, and happy ones I think are from 60-70%, something like that. I think at 50 they are still content. yeah, if you have a happy system and you build this system improvement on your happy system, you would have a plus 25% science production. Very cool, very important building. Another hacking program, an offensive hacking program, plus 10% bandwidth cost for all enemy programs on this system while your hacking operation is ongoing. 20 bandwidth cost. Yeah, if you're into hacking and you really wish to get on your enemies in that way, this is something that can really help. This is a defensive hacking program, plus 30% bandwidth cost on hacking programs. And this happens when an enemy is hacking a particular node, which is a system, and the effect on the node is to remove any detected backdoor. And a backdoor is a program that enemies or yourself against enemies install on particular systems in order to access information and insert sleeper population types inside of it. We also are granted the colonization of ice planets. So you can see we're getting in colonization terms on the more tougher, the more difficult planets to colonize. I mean, we started from tundra and Mediterranean. I mean, I'm really not sure even if a technology is required to colonize a Mediterranean paradise. But yeah, nonetheless, we got into snow type planets, and now we are into ice, which is just a vastity of frozen water, and that must suck real bad. Matter of fact, you get some approval debuffs on ice planets, but nonetheless you can colonize them if they have particular resources and so on. Moving on to compact warp methods. Let's see, a moon base alpha system improvement. Yeah, so certain planets have moon that orbit around them. They may have a single moon, they may have two moons, they may have multiple moons. And once you actually search these moons by interacting on a system level, I think it's an option that maybe if I scroll some systems I may find one, but I think I already did it on all systems. Yeah, unfortunately I cannot find one, but just imagine there is an option to search for moons, or better yet, to search what is on those moons, and if the planet has moons. Here you go. You can see this particular planet has multiple moons, which grant a +1 population slot on the planet. And what this technology does, if I can find it again, is grant a +50 science per lunar anomaly and +50 dust per lunar anomaly, which means plus 50 science and 50 gold if depending on the amount of moons that are orbiting around the planet. Eco-habitats, +1 population slots on sterile planets. So it's a cool way and an important way to get more population on your sterile planets, which are notorious to produce not so much food. I think that the aforementioned ice planet does produce zero food. So there you have it. Moving on, Graviton research. We have we have a couple of bandwidth hacking related unlocks. So this blocks the create backdoor outcome for any hostile hacking operation passing through this node, and a -25% movement on the enemy hack, and grants an offensive hacking program that allows you to change the target or path of a hacking operation at a cost of 20 bandwidth. You are granted the Graviton Shielded Laboratories as a system improvement. Very important scientific building, plus 30 science on system and plus 2 science per population on planets. Huge improvement in science by this particular system improvement. You are able now to colonize also Arctic planets. We have a legendary deed. It is to build the Intergalactic Technology Center. What does this do? Basically, a plus 10% science per system level and a minus 10% cost on technologies on technology costs. So as soon as you hit stage 3, you are able to build this, and if you build it, you get an outcome which I cannot describe to you because again, someone else won it, but just imagine it as a reward in resources or particular buffs for a period of time and so on. I forgot. At stage 3, you are able to see curiosities related to uncommon resources. Plus, you are granted one of the most important, I would say, modules in the game, the Hyperion engine. This dramatically increases the movement speed of your ships by 4 points. It requires 1 Hyperion. Very important module. I forgot about the scientific stage unlocks. Moving on, we have autonomous materials. Very important technology also, this one. Starting from the hacking part, you have a hacking improvement. So +1 maximum hacking operations on your empire and a +10% movement of hacks on the empire. You are able to reduce simple anomalies. Now, what does this actually mean? Anomalies on planets may be positive or negative depending on what you find. And here you go, here you have it. This is a aurora waves anomaly which has been reduced. So it does not have any more negative effect. Via this technology, you're able to transform these bad anomalies into something that actually benefits you. Let me see if I can find some other example real quick. If the game loads, this is a beneficial one. Here you have it. This is another reduced anomaly. So yeah, once you hit that particular technology, you are able to reduce these anomalies. Now, I cannot actually remember the difference between, because here he's talking about simple anomalies, and I'm afraid I cannot distinguish really well between the simple and the complex ones, even though further down in the tree you are able to contrast. Here it is, yep. I think it's this one. Yeah, anomaly reduction nullifies the effects of negative anomalies. So we'll get to that in a little bit, but nonetheless, you can cancel the negative effect firstly and then nullify totally the negative effects of anomalies. You are granted the evolved soils, planetary specialization. So just as the exoscience stations granted you a +1 science per population, in this case right here you're granted a +1 food per population on planets. So different planetary specialization, but nonetheless important depending on your goals. Finally, very important piece of technology, Hawking radiation doser reveals and enables the use of wormholes. That's right, on your map you can see wormholes as, let me find one, here you have it, a more thick and visible line that connects two systems that were before not that simple to reach from one to another. If I were to send a ship from Kran to Grus, it would have taken a certain amount of turns. With a wormhole, it takes 1 turn. You travel from Kran Your ships travel from Kran to Grus in just one turn. Once they move, they will sit on the end of the wormhole for at least for one turn. Using a wormhole depletes totally your movement points. Last stage 3 technology, we have Behemoth technology, basic climatology, which unlocks 2 modules, which are special node effect when orbiting, 25%, plus you get titanium and hyperium from black holes and solar nebulas, adamantium and antimatter from asteroid fields and collapsing stars, and orichalcics and quadrinics from neutron stars and nebular clouds, if you have unlocked the resource exploitation, of course, for all 3 cases. We'll see this when we talk about the economy and trade panel, but you can see to unlock to exploit titanium, you have to unlock this particular technology, and to exploit hyperium, you have to unlock this particular technology, and this applies for all 6 of the strategic resources. So just to have a context right there. So moving on to stage 4. Let me just check the time. Yeah, 46 minutes. Okay, let's see if we can make it in an hour. Hitting stage 4 will grant me the rare curiosities. So now we are able to reveal the rare luxury resources, and we get the titanium colonizers, which have a proof stock of 1 and a cooldown of 4 turns. So this means that you are now able to colonize multiple planets without having to build single colonization ships, because if you remember, where is it? Here you go, can only be installed on colonization ships, and it's just a one-off. You get the module on and you send a ship, and that ship will colonize the system and it will disappear, while having this particular module will grant the ability to keep the ship and go on and colonize. So we have first technology of stage 4 is distributed fusion, which unlocks a support module of a 100 energy defense buff and a minus 20% EMP shield deactivation duration. So we're talking defense ship modules that target in particular the EMP shield. We must refer to the military technology for this particular module, and also a turret recovery fields support modules. This one is antimatter related, critical hit chance of 10% plus minus 20% EMP weapon deactivation duration. This is a faction specific technology which is unlocked with the Empire if you choose the Mezari path. I will not discuss it because it's just related to the quest. It just unlocks a particular building. Let's just skip it. The adaptive colonies technology grant you the far-sighted crops. Now, this is a quite important building. It costs 25 antimatter, and basically it's a plus 10 food per planet and plus 10% food on planet. It's a very big and important upgrade in terms of food on your system, and you get an enhanced Zolia class hull for this by unlocking this particular technology. So what an enhanced ship hull means is that that particular ship type will now be able to contain more modules on it. Here we have the applied Casimir effect, which unlocks the cosmetic genetics, very important technology because it grants +1 population slot on fertile and on sterile planets. Your systems will boom with people. And alien grafting number 2. So this time around we get a +2 food per population on fertile and a +2 food per population in general. Dimensional folding, very important technology. F Reality Institute, 25 antimatter for a +40% science. This will really ramp up your science production in your systems. And we get two defensive hacking programs. Track, which tracks progress of enemy hacking operations passing through a particular node and removes any detected backdoor for 30 bandwidth, and a firewall. Now, this blocks hacking outcomes of level 1, which we saw before, and these outcomes include create backdoor, embed sleeper, influence politics, injure figurehead, and jam commands, and removes any detected backdoor. Basically, it enables your enemy to use these outcomes on the system, plus removing any detected backdoor on the system. It basically blocks completely the hack of your enemy on the system. Very, very strong piece of equipment. This I talked about. N-dimensional topologies. Deep space fuel scoop increases the warp outside star lanes movement speed. What does this mean? It means that when we are in our galaxy map, the movement speed that would take to go from Perseus to Kran would be, let's say, 5 turns before researching the n-dimensional topologies. Once we research it, we are able to cross it in 3. It's just an example. It reduces the time that it takes to go from point A from point B, traveling in void space and not using tracks between stars. On the other hand, we get an accelerated warp drive, movement points 5, so an upgrade in regards to your Hyperion engines, plus it doesn't cost any strategic resource. It does not cost Hyperion. Low Kelvin sciences, we have another defensive oh no, it's not actually a defensive program, it's a hacking improvement. In general, you get a +1 hacking operation and a plus 10% movement of your hacks on Empire, so stackable improvements in regards to the first hacking optimization. We are now able to load these support modules on our hero ships, which grant this time fleet movement points of 3 at the cost of 6 quadrinics. And we are able to have the curiosity exploration of now in this particular case I'm kind of confused because to this day I do not understand the meaning of this. I think that this grants the ability to search for the last type of curiosity in the game, and it certainly is because we were going from once you get to the rare curiosities, these are now detectable. As soon as you hit this technology, you are now able to have +3 vision range on systems, and by unlocking this other technology, which we'll get into a moment, you are able to search them. So just wanted to rectify right there. So yeah, you have a +3 vision range on systems, and that is it for the low Kelvin sciences. Moving on to the ultra deep habitats, as I was saying, we are now able to actually reveal the most advanced curiosity types in the game, revealing us the most important strategic and luxury resources. And we are able to construct the Dark Matter Institute, a wonderful building, a unique improvement, can only be built once in your empire. It's a +50 science per system level and a +10 science per anomaly. Just to make it clear, system levels are the system upgrades that you use on your systems. Systems are upgraded by choosing particular luxury resources and upgrading them in order to let the system receive a boost. So there you have it, level 2, level 3, and the maximum level 4. So going back to our Dark Matter Institute, it's a plus 50 science per system level. So a level 4 system would receive a plus 200 science on that particular system, which is not bad at all. Moving to climate engineering, here we have it, the punctuated evolution foundation, plus 4 science per population on fertile planets and plus 2 science per population on cold. This will greatly boost your science output on a particular system if built. And we have advanced terraforming. Terraforming lets you terraform planets. So at this stage, you are permitted to terraform certain snow planets in fertile planets. So basically, you are going from sterile planets to fertile planets. Finally, a behemoth advanced climatology technology. This allows you to install an upgrade of the stellar node study module, which lowers the technology science cost to 3% on special nodes, and an advanced climate engineering. This allows you to terraform planets, to reconstruct planets in case, let's say, an obliterator destroyed an entire system, leaving only destroyed planets, a core cracker destroyed a particular planet, or the planet was inhabited by craver population, which as a faction affinity depletes planets. By installing an advanced climate engineering support module, you get to reconstruct during several turns those particular planets. And finally, the last tier of the technology is this one. As soon as you hit it, you are granted the most powerful movement point engine in the game. This one is fueled by adamantium, and it gives you a plus 6 movement points on your ships. So very, very important. We also have a deed, claimer of oddities. You must be the first to possess 14 anomalies in your empire. Starting from left, quantum evasion grants you a Oribot swarm, which grants 15% repair fleet after battle and 10% repair fleet after each battle phase. Can only be installed on support type ships. Interstellar windshields grants the ability to have a system improvement that grants plus 3 population slot on gas planets, which are notoriously bad in terms of approval and do not expand, I think, above the 3 population slot. So by improving your system with this particular system improvement, you get a plus 3 population slot on gas planets and plus 2 population slots per lunar anomaly on your planets. Not bad at all. Supralight aerodynamics, a whopping plus 2 movement points on ships. Then we have the anomaly framework. Now, 3 system improvements granted by this technology. A dust bonanza, which grants plus 5 dust per population on planet with negative anomaly and plus 5 dust per population on planet with reduced anomaly. So hugely improving your your dust output by building this system improvement. Pocket laboratory. Now this one is a purely scientific system improvement and grants a plus 40% science per population on gas planets. School of Geniuses, it's a plus 5% per population on planet with negative and reduced anomalies. So as the theme of the technology itself, anomaly framework goes into boosting your planets with anomalies. Moving on right here, the last 2 technologies, we have the ontological rev engineering. basically, as I was saying before, you can now nullify completely the effect of a negative anomaly on a certain planet, maybe greatly increasing the approval of that particular planet. And citizen science 2. So this time around, you would get a +2 science per population on cold and +2 science per population in general. Now, you do not have to manually upgrade system after system these planetary specializations as soon as you hit the level 2 of them. The game will just automatically upgrade them for you. So no worries about that. And the last scientific technology we have is the advanced non-baryonics, which grants a particular system improvement, which is battlefield archaeology. So what happens is you get a base of +10% science, that's it in general in the system. But if you're at war with the other factions, you get a +20% science on, or better yet, per empires at war. So I guess if you were some kind of scientific warring civilization, such as actually it happens to be mine, the direction I went with this playthrough was with the Mezari branch of the empire, which focuses on, let me just show you real quick, on science. As you can see, the Mezari have a +1 science and +0.5 influence, since they are now boosted. But yeah, they produce science. Yeah, at the cost of 25 quadrinics, you get to have a +20% science and per empires at war. So a very cool way to boost scientific production even more. So that was the scientific branch of the technology tree. I hope that it was helpful. I basically read through all the technologies, but it's something that anyone can do actually playing the game. But I don't know, I just enjoy doing this. I really love this game, and I really wish that when I started playing there was some kind of guide to some kind of video form of guide to understand better the technology screen, and just to go through and have a relaxing time and learning stuff about the game, and not having to read pages and pages and just trying out by myself, failing miserably. So even though that was also one of the most fun parts, I have to admit. So in my next video, we'll see another quadrant, possibly the economy and trade quadrant. And for now, it's all. And thank you all, and bye bye.